Welcome everyone to today's webinar, which is all about an introduction to Microsoft Viva. So a rough agenda, we're going to be talking a bit about, well, what is Microsoft Viva? So there's a lot of confusion around what Microsoft Viva is, and we're going to go into a little bit of detail about what some of these products can kind of do. So within Microsoft Viva, we have things like Viva Connections, Viva Goals, Viva Insights, and Viva Learning. So we're going to go into each one of these and have a little bit of an example about what it is, why we use it, and what it's supposed to be doing. At the end, there'll be a little bit of time as well for some Q&A. So if there's any questions, please feel free to pop them into the chat, and I'll take a little look at those at the end to answer those. So a little bit about me. My name's Dougie Wood. I'm the creative director at Valto, and I've been working with SharePoint for the past almost about 15 years now. And in the past 5 years, I've been focusing heavily on the Power Platform and Power Apps. Now, both Microsoft Viva and SharePoint share similar kind of features and things like that. And that's something that we're going to be looking at when we're talking about Viva Connections. So there's a little bit of crossover that if you're familiar with products like SharePoint or Microsoft Teams, some of this is going to look quite familiar to you as well. And there's probably going to be some new bits and bobs that along the way that are not anything that you've likely seen before. For example, like Viva Goals is quite new, and there's not really a Microsoft product that is similar to that already. So let's start talking about Microsoft Viva. So what is Microsoft Viva? Microsoft Viva is a new addition to the Microsoft 365 suite of products. It's comprised of a number of key areas, each designed to unlock employee engagement and well-being. Viva helps employees find answers and get context on what they're working on right now. It makes it easy for them to stay connected with their manager or peer groups by sharing files or collaborating in real time. The system will ensure that they're building up their skills so that they can be promoted within your organization at the right time. If you're looking for someone who can fill a particular role in your business, then Viva will help match candidates based on their skill sets instead of just experience levels alone. So what can Microsoft Viva do for you? So Microsoft Viva is not just one product. It's actually comprised of, I think it's about 7 products in total, each designed to unlock employee engagement and well-being at different levels. So we have the likes of Microsoft Viva Connections, which is the first product we're going to start talking about. But there's also Viva Engage, there's Viva Insights, there's Viva Goals, there's Viva Learning, there's Viva Topics, and there's Viva Sales. It wouldn't surprise me if there's more Viva products which are going to come down the line as well. But we're going to be focusing today on some of the key Microsoft Viva products that we've been helping our customers with recently that we're starting to see a lot of real benefits coming out of the back of them. Now more than ever, having an employee engagement tools built into your overall working space is more important than ever. It really does help kind of set you aside from your potential competitors where employees may be looking at and thinking, oh, it's a nice place to work over there. Whereas if you've got something in-house which is looking after their needs of learning and education and support all in one place, it will make your employees much stickier, as in they will stay with your organization for a long period of time because they feel that their needs are being met. All of this functionality is under one roof as well. So all of the data, everything that's stored inside of Microsoft Viva is all part of Microsoft 365. It's using the same login credentials that you're using to access things like SharePoint or Teams. So and all the look and feel of everything that we're going to be looking at today is all very consistent. So when you're moving between the different products, it doesn't feel wildly different. It's all under one roof, a one-stop shop for employee engagement. So the very first product inside of Microsoft Viva that I want to talk about is Viva Connections. So what is Microsoft Viva Connections? So Viva Connections makes the content you have in Teams and SharePoint more discoverable with a personalized work feed. So let's take a look at this. Viva Connections can be added as a tab inside of your overall Microsoft Teams environment. So from my Teams area, I can see there's a Viva Connections button on the left-hand side. And when I click on that, that's then going to take me to my Viva Connections site. Now, anyone that's used SharePoint Online will recognize this as it's basically the same builder that you build SharePoint sites with is what you can build Viva Connections, and then it's embedded into Teams. So the personalized work feed is a new way for your team to stay connected to relevant news and updates from colleagues, partners, and other resources. It's easy to follow specific people or topics you want to hear about, making it easier than ever to stay up to date on what's happening within your organization. The Opportunity Hub helps you find opportunities faster by bringing them directly into an easy to read format that can be accessed within Teams or SharePoint at the click of a button. So we can build this out to include whatever you like. So this is a real world example of how Valto are building ours out. We've got a little news slider across the top over here. We've got some weather kind of information, and we've got some information about our latest policies. We've also got a Twitter feed, which is showing the latest Twitter update that we have posted to our Twitter feed, as well as there's some very specific content which has been targeted at me, which is kind of like AI-driven information. So it's showing me things which are going on around me, or tasks which maybe I could do with adding to my own to-do list, video recordings of meetings that have taken place recently, and things like that. You can also add custom fields so you can organize your data however works best for you and your team. You can create what they know as topic cards, which make it even easier for users to access information across different teams to access content they need while working together on projects, for example. Topic cards can give users an overview of related threads, files, and conversations without having to search through multiple locations. These locations include email boxes, document libraries, and so on, all the kind of context of documents that we have inside of Microsoft 365. So the point of Viva Connections basically is to provide a centralized intranet essentially page into Microsoft Teams. So if you're currently using SharePoint Online and you're using Microsoft Teams, it's a great way of embedding that directly into Microsoft Teams to make Microsoft Teams basically the one-stop shop for everything you need to. So you're using Teams for your kind of projects, maybe your departments sort of conversations, business units conversations, that sort of thing. And you can bring then all of the information that you have on your intranet then directly inside of Microsoft Teams using the Viva Connections embed. This makes it even easier to access information, things like policies, procedures, internal kind of business applications, or links to third-party things and areas as well. It makes it so much easier. So rather than having Microsoft Teams as your kind of collaborational area and then having to go into a browser to access SharePoint Online for your kind of intranet kind of functions and communications, latest news articles, newsletters, policies, branded materials, all the things that an intranet would have, you can surface those directly inside of Microsoft Teams rather than having to force people to jump backwards and forwards between different areas. It makes it nice and simple and easy to use. If Microsoft Teams was a bit restrictive for this, you can also click on this button here to open up the page in the full website, and that'll open up the full kind of SharePoint functionality. So in summary, Viva Connections in this example is essentially a SharePoint intranet which has been embedded into Microsoft Teams via the Viva Connections button. There's also Viva Connections new web parts as well, as I was saying below. So rolling up kind of content and topic cards and things like that, which are specific to the current user. Microsoft are getting more and more involved with using AI to determine what content should be surfaced to people based on their activity within inside of an intranet, for example. So the next product that we're going to discuss as part of the Microsoft Viva suite is Microsoft Viva Goals. So what is Viva Goals? Now, Viva Goals is an employee experience platform that empowers people to achieve success at work. Now, it does this by aligning and tracking progress of specific targeted goals against realistic goals and achievements, while celebrating achievements and growing out skills of each employee along the way. It brings together communications, knowledge, learning, and insights from across the employee experience all into one place. Viva Goals gives you more insight into what you need to do next to reach your goals. All of your goals can be tracked, whether it be career goals or even personal achievements. It will also help you identify opportunities for growth as well as celebrate achievements with others. Microsoft Viva Goals is a tool that enables you to set goals for your company and then track them at different levels. It's easy to use, simple to understand, and can be used on any device. You can set one or many goals at one time and give them different milestones for each one. and then set deadlines for when those goals should be achieved. Microsoft Viva Goals keeps track of how well you're doing in meeting your specific targets related to yourself, your department's kind of goals, as well as the overall company goals. So let's take a look. So the way that Microsoft Viva Goals works is it's based on essentially setting what you know as OKRs. OKRs are objectives and key results. OKRs help you to focus on what matters most to your organization, and they help define what success truly looks like. Your company has business goals, but individuals have personal ones as well. To meet both needs simultaneously, you can set SMART tasks. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, or achievable, some people would say, and then relevant. And these are basically then, or also T for time, so time bound. So these are objectives that align with your overall company's goals. So the very first thing that you need to do is actually look at actually setting company goals. Now, we've just set a bunch of sort of demo OKRs here set up for our demo Valto tenancy here, but you can see these could be all sorts of different company high-level goals. They could be, for example, going through a rebranding project. They could be around sort of management team training, or a growth mindset, or different things like that, things that you want to be able to achieve at a high level as an overall company. Now, the OKRs are set at a company level, but they can also then be set at department level, and then team level, and then actual employee level. So the task from a company level might be, say, for example, to double the revenue. And then within a department like marketing, it might be, okay, well, we need to grow our leads by double. So how do we actually achieve that? So what's some SMART, some specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-specific tasks that we can give to our departments to work that out? So it might be, for example, we need to grow our YouTube channel by an extra 10,000 subscribers this year, or something like that. So that's something that's very specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, and it's relevant to the task. And then we could say it's time-based, so it's within the next year. Then we can then say, okay, well, that's our company goal, is to double our revenue. The marketing department's task specific to that goal is to increase YouTube subscribers by 10,000 in the next year. And then you would look at then specific tasks for individuals. So the individual tasks then would be set, say, for example, maybe we need to have a video posted once a week or something like that, which averages out for a month. And then that becomes our SMART goal specifically then for that particular task. So that's how it kind of rolls down. So we can then go into our own sort of OKRs. So if I go into my OKRs area, you can then see we can then break this down again, just some example ones in here. So it might be, for example, under the creative team goals, I could break this out then for specific areas again. So you can see you can have an overall kind of goal grouping of OKRs, which can then have sub areas within it. So, for example, underneath here, I could then have content creation. And then within here, I've got create a content calendar. Or under social media, I've got then some subtasks for setting up a TikTok account, Instagram accounts, YouTube accounts, Hootsuite, all the different things potentially that I would be doing to achieve this particular set of goals. The tasks then, as I say, are set against a time. So for it to be a SMART goal, it needs to be set against a time frame. Now, typically with Viva goals, it runs on kind of quarters of the year. So you could say, well, this is achievable in Q1 of the year, or Q2, or Q3, or Q4. And then when you actually then create that task, you can then have check-ins. Now, check-ins are essentially ways of saying how you're getting on with that particular task. So rather than waiting to the very end of the year to come back in and say, okay, well, I've completed these 6, but these 4 are still not complete, we can actually then use a slider to say what potential percentage complete we are, and then click on check-in, and that'll then give a kind of date and timestamp that actually we've checked in on this particular task to say where it's up to. It's really easy to add new objectives as well. by clicking this add objective button across the top, we can create new tasks in here, and we can specify a number of different things, including when it's due, if there's any sort of delegates, any sort of permission, so who can actually view and see this task, and we can choose to add this into multiple groupings of task areas as well. Tasks can also have a bulk check-in as well. So if you know, for example, 10 of the tasks which are relating to an overall grouping of tasks are all 50% complete, we can use a bulk check-in option to say, yeah, all these 10 tasks are actually 50% of the way through completion. We can also see things like dashboards, so we can roll things up, so key updates which have been happening recently, progress over time, so you can see graphs and charts and things like that, burn downs as you're kind of working through these different areas. So that's basically Viva goals. It's all about creating tasks and then tracking them throughout time. So as a reminder, basically what you want to be doing is making sure that you're starting off with creating your goals at a company level, because that's basically what you want to achieve, the high level, and then you can look at drilling down into lower areas of departments and teams, which then finally give you your kind of tasks at the end for your actual employees, and that all helps in terms of their kind of personal development, the team and department development, and then hitting the overall company goals. So the next product to talk about is Microsoft Viva Insights. So what is Microsoft Viva Insights? Microsoft Viva Insights uses AI, as in artificial intelligence, and signals from existing Microsoft 365 apps. It puts together an overall kind of insight and will offer useful pieces of information that help improve individual focus, productivity, and collaboration on a day-to-day basis. Viva Insights is, as I say, artificial intelligence powered assistant that lives inside of Microsoft 365 to give users helpful tips and tricks. It will give advice on how to be more efficient and effective at work and teach them how they can keep their teams engaged. The goal of this service is to help you get stuff done while working smarter through using these artificial intelligence driven insights. Microsoft Viva Insights offers a personalized sort of based tips based on your overall working habits, as well as those of your colleagues that they're based on as well, so who you're working with. So it's trying to make smart kind of decisions and things like that based on what kind of you're doing, who you're collaborating with, what meetings you're taking part in, and things like that. These are individual insights that help you understand what's happening within your business. So let's take a look. So Microsoft Viva Insights is another product which can be easily accessed from a tab within inside of Microsoft Teams. If you don't see, you can always click on the three dots here and search for Viva Insights. Remember that you'll only see some of these products if you're actually licensed to see Microsoft Viva within your Microsoft 365. So what is it then? So let's take a little look at some of this functionality. So as I say, it offers overall kind of insights, but it's also an employee kind of engagement. So it also will try and promote things like praising your colleagues. So we can choose to send praise to our colleagues by clicking on the send praise button here. We can see all the kind of praise that we've recently received from others, as well as giving us kind of recommendations that we might want to send praise to, say for working with Hugh recently, or working with Claire, collaboration, and we can send some praise, say, great job, Claire, it was really good. Or I might want to send this on to, for example, Jade for doing a piece of work that I thought was really useful. So if I click on the send praise button, I can choose to type in someone's name, or I can select them from this drop-down list. I can choose to send where the praise to, so I can say it's an individual chat, or I can show it in a Teams channel if I wanted to promote this to other people within inside of my team so they could see what's been going really well. I can choose a title, so it's either something that's been awesome, it's a thank you message, it's a congratulations on maybe passing an exam or a certification, it's achiever, so achieving maybe a difficult project, or a problem solver for helping us tackle a client issue. But there's a whole host of other things in here, team player, creative, leadership. It's just worth having a little look through all the different ones that you could potentially use. But I'm going to use this kind of thank you. And I might just say, thank you for all your help recently getting our team's work complete in a timely way, or something like that. I can set a background color for what this is going to be. So there's a couple of cool little colors we can pick here, and then I'm going to click on send, and then that's then going to send that message directly to Jade. Now this will show up as a e-card, so it will show up like this, and she'll get notified to be able to see that message. She can also see all the praise that she's previously received as well. So this is showing me that I can see that I've recently sent a praise message to Jade, and I can also see my full praise history by coming back into this page in here. So there's some other useful kind of insights and things like that that it'll give me over time. So down here I can see a focus plan, so 3 hours of focus time kept in November, and I can choose to book focus time. So focus time is basically going to look at my calendar and try and find slots of time which are going to be really useful to kind of reuse as specific focus. So this is looking for gaps in my calendar and things like that. It also offers things like some guidance on improving your work-life balance as well. So there's loads of little cool little things that this will branch off to. I also quite like this how you're feeling about the day option, where you can actually reflect on how you're kind of feeling over a period of time. So let's say, for example, I can mark this as good, and then I can see my reflection history to kind of see where I've been kind of feeling, and I can reflect and say, okay, well, I've had a really good period here, or actually this was a really bad day. Why was that? It might be because I had loads of back-to-back meetings and I didn't have time to kind of cool down between those meetings. So by the end of the day, I was feeling really fried and not so good. So this is a very high level, but it's a good way of sort of tracking over a period of time. Actually, if I was constantly reporting back that actually I was feeling a bit sort of sad or a bit down or sort of a bit overworked, I could then maybe think, oh, there's a bit of a pattern here, and maybe there's something I can do about it to fix it. Or like with anybody, if you're feeling a bit sort of down for a couple of days, maybe there's problems with kind of work, or even maybe problems at home. It can feel like you've been in that period of time for a long time. Whereas actually, if you can come back at this and say, actually, well, it's only been a couple of days actually, and last week I was feeling over the moon and I've been feeling really good, then you can remind yourself that it's not all doom and gloom, that you've not been kind of in this way for a long period of time. It's a great way of kind of reminding yourself where you're currently at with your kind of overall sort of mental health and well-being. Insights also offers some really great tips about staying connected with people. So again, it will always promote things like giving praise, but you can also see there's some specific kind of tasks and reminders and things like that. So there's some tasks here to sort of say, well, I asked, just following up on the below, do you have any questions? So that's actually AI that's picked up on something that sounds like it could be a potential question. It could be something like, oh, did you send me that, can you send me that document tomorrow or something like that? So you can mark these things off, say, yep, this one's been done, and you can then say, yep, move this off, and it will then put it on your kind of done list. So that's a really good way of actually just staying connected with people and just making sure that things that are potentially tasks are actually getting completed and checked off your list. There's also another tab which is all about dedicating sort of time, so having protected time away from kind of meetings and that sort of thing. So again, you can look, you can use this to sort of view a focus plan of kind of preferences. So how much focus time would you like to schedule every day? I look for roughly about 2 hours worth of focus time to make sure that I'm not kind of in meetings and things like that. I prefer to in the afternoon, as a lot of my meetings do take place in the morning, and we can also choose to sort of don't schedule focus time earlier than a specific time. So otherwise we don't want focus time at 5 o'clock in the morning, for example. You can also choose to mute notifications. So it's asking, would you like to silence Teams chat notifications during focus time? So you can say mute notifications or allow notifications. So that's up to you. If you truly want to get focus time, you might want to actually specify that you don't want notifications to come through to you at that point in time. So insights can help protect your quiet time from work-related notifications. As I say, you can turn those on and off. And basically, it's looking to help you make sure that you actually get that focus time, which is becoming more and more important as hybrid work becomes more the norm. There's some other really useful areas as well, so things like effective meetings. So you can kind of see from in here some meeting habits. Here I organised 51 meetings. I'm invited to 108 meetings in the last 4 weeks, and you can explore your habits within here. So you can see sort of there's no overlap with other meetings, high attendance. I didn't multitask whilst I was in those meetings, so I was focusing on the meetings and that sort of thing. So there's some really useful insights, because everything you're kind of doing inside of Microsoft 365, this AI, this Viva Insights, is kind of tracking everything you're doing. So it can be a little bit simplistic at this point in time, but I get a really strong feeling from Microsoft that AI is really going to be the future. So this is something that is going to get more and more powerful over a period of time. There's also an inspiration library, which is all going to give you information about well-being, culture, impact, that will help be a kind of thought-provoking and inspiration. So take a little look at that, and some great little pieces of information in there. The final product that I want to talk about inside of Microsoft Viva today is Microsoft Viva Learning. So what is Viva Learning? Viva Learning allows for learning and development professionals to create learning paths for every employee. The paths can be integrated with Microsoft Teams, your company portal such as SharePoint Online, and your overall kind of business processes. This allows every employee to learn and improve their skills at the moment of when they actually need to do that. The goal of companies is to help employees gain new skills. This will then improve their productivity and stay relevant as technology changes. It also helps them become more engaged in their work, which will boost morale as well as overall productivity levels within the workplace. So let's jump in and take a look. Microsoft Viva Learning is another product which can be easily accessible from Microsoft Teams. In fact, all the products on Microsoft Viva can be accessed from Microsoft Teams. Simply by just clicking on the 3 dots on the left hand side, we can search and select for Microsoft Viva Learning, and then this page will then appear. We can see we've got a couple of different options in here. It's a little bit like LinkedIn Learning in the sense that we can see a bunch of courses that are already created for us, and in fact it pulls through content directly from LinkedIn Learning. So if you wanted to provide look for something specific, often training courses already exist within here, so it's a good place to start off with if you're thinking about building out a learning development plan. You can choose to take your own first course, so you click on here. This will jump you directly into certain areas of kind of study based on kind of topics, or you can actually look at it based on duration as well. So if there's just some things that you think, do you know what, in the focus time that I've got 10 minutes between different meetings, I'm going to jump into here. I'm going to take a little look at some of the different videos which are available to me. So for example, 5 tips of building your financial life. We can jump into that and we can watch that little short 4-minute video directly from LinkedIn. We can see content which is coming from LinkedIn, and we can see ones which are just part of the overall Microsoft Viva Learning, so what Microsoft are providing directly to us. We can choose to pin this directly to our sidebar. So by clicking on this, it will automatically add a shortcut to here. And we can also see previously bookmarked courses. So you can search Microsoft Viva Learning for something. So let's say, for example, looking for SharePoint related content, and then we can find all sorts of different content within here. So sharing and syncing with SharePoint or introduction to SharePoint. I might want to choose to bookmark that. So I can click on bookmark, and then that will then save that particular training module for me into my list. I can search based on providers, whether it be LinkedIn Learning, Microsoft 365 Training, or Microsoft Learn. And I can also search based on duration as well. So if I'm looking for something that's, say, under 10 minutes, and related to SharePoint, then it's going to show me all these short little videos that we've got in here that are specific to SharePoint. I can also see all my previously bookmarked. So these are the different bookmarked courses I've previously looked at. I can see ones which are recommended to me. So this is anything that's been recommended to me by a colleague, for example. I can see anything that's recently viewed, so any courses I've maybe been browsing through, and then I can see anything that's been completed, so any completed training courses I can see directly from inside of here. We can also choose to have our own interests. So for example, I might be looking for, say, career development, and then save that. And then what that will do is then that will then customize these training topics which are coming up in these different modules specifically to that particular type of interest as well. So it's always trying to adapt. So the more you use these types of tools, the more that it's actually going to offer up better kind of guidance, better advice, better modules which are specific to the types of learning that you're currently thinking about. But you can also create your own kind of course materials and create a sort of learning development plan with your employees so that they can have all of this learning directly in-house. This is all really easy to use functionality and some great materials that get surfaced directly in here. And again, because I'm accessing this inside of Microsoft Teams, it's all part of my overall workday experience. I'm not having to jump out into separate kind of learning and development platforms or websites. It's all under one roof for me directly here. So by now, you might already be thinking, well, this is all well and good, but how much is this going to cost? And the answer is it depends on which of the set of the products of Microsoft Viva that you wish to use, as some are partially available as part of your existing enterprise level Microsoft 365 licenses, whereas some of the functionality and features and products require a Microsoft Viva license. So let's take a quick look at that. If you go to the Microsoft.com web page and look for Microsoft Viva under pricing, you'll then see there's some information about how this is licensed. So certain things are included as part of the overall enterprise licenses of Microsoft 365, and then there's some elements which are not included, which actually you need to pay for an additional license, which is £6.80 per user per month. Now this is broken down further down in here, so we can actually see information on what's included. So for example, Viva Connections and Viva Engage are included for sort of your standard kind of enterprise licenses, whereas Microsoft Viva Learning for the advanced kind of features such as recommended content and track reported completion progress of modules that have been going through, integration with partner content providers, integration with learning management systems. So more advanced stuff is actually requires that additional license to use that. So I would suggest taking a little look at this page and it will break down for you exactly the types of functionality which is available to you as part of Microsoft 365 licenses, and what functionality that if you wish you would like to use, you would need to have an additional license to provide that functionality. So in summary, Microsoft Viva, the overall objective is to integrate people, knowledge, resources across the whole organization to empower everyone to find meaning in their day-to-day work. It is a combination of apps and services that help employees be successful. As we've seen, all the applications are actually available directly through Microsoft Teams, as well as some of them in the browser as well. So for example, Goals, I showed you that through a browser, but you can also get access through that directly from Microsoft Teams as well. As Microsoft Teams is becoming that kind of one-stop shop for everything that you need. So the apps are integrated with Microsoft Teams, so you can access information from your teams all in kind of one place. It's designed to help employees work better, regardless of their device that they're being issued, and the type of work that they're actually doing. It's an important new addition to Microsoft 365 that provides all the tools needed for modern workplace communication and collaboration. It's the #1 Microsoft employee engagement tool, which allows you to kind of focus on what matters most, which is the results and well-being of your employees. So how can Valto help? So we can deliver workshops on today's topics to plan your kind of migrational plan into using this new employee engagement platform. So the agenda of the typical workshops are to demonstrate the products that we've looked at today in more detail. We look at how to deploy Microsoft Viva, as well as having interviews with departments to talk about their specific needs, about how this employee engagement platform is going to benefit them. We offer guidance on training and adoption of Microsoft Viva, and as part of this, we also give a workshop report, which gives all of our findings and recommendations and next steps within that. So at the time of recording, the price for the workshop is £1,500, and that includes a full workshop day, which is usually split out into 2 half days, as well as a follow-up report as well. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to us and email hello@valto.co.uk, and we can schedule a free kind of call and demonstration of these products and talk through your requirements with you. We do offer other workshops as well, so things around Microsoft Teams adoption, building out SharePoint intranets, modern workplace ways of working, as well as Power Apps and Power Platform strategies, and so much more, all related to Microsoft 365. So if you're interested in any of those and we can potentially be helping you, then please feel free to email us at hello@valto.co.uk. Okay, so we've just got some time left over now, just to answer any of the questions you've put into the feed. Let's take a little look at what we've got in here. Is editing Microsoft Viva connections the same as editing a page on SharePoint Online? Yes, it is. So basically building out your Microsoft Viva connections is exactly the same as building out a SharePoint intranet page. So just like going in and clicking on the edit button and then adding sections to a page, adding web parts to a page, things like that, it's pretty much exactly the same. So if you're comfortable building SharePoint pages already, then you should have no problems using Microsoft Viva connections. So let's take a look for another one here. Can all of Viva be accessed through Microsoft Teams? Yes. So all of the different products that we looked at today can all be accessed through Microsoft Teams, as long as you're licensed for it. So we talked a bit about the licenses before. So you've got to make sure that you're licensed and it's available to you from your IT department. But yes, going into Teams, click on that 3 dots on the left-hand side on the sort of navigation bar, and you should see them pop up there. If not, use a search box and you can find them, and then you can access them directly through that. So what else have we got on here? Just got a little prompt of timer there. Got probably time for one more question. So does Microsoft Viva track employees? Oh, good question. So the answer is yes, but through kind of artificial intelligence. So it's not like there's some big massive database or someone's manually going through and sifting through all this kind of stuff. It's artificial intelligence which is kind of tracking people, and it can feel a little bit like Big Brother kind of watching to a certain extent, and this is sometimes part of the adoption piece. You've got to make sure that people understand that they're not exactly being watched per se, but things are kind of automatically just being tracked by Microsoft 365 to be able to provide useful kind of insights. So you can surface insights around Teams data, but insights are scoped to your Teams data, and including employees who you directly or indirectly manage within your defined organizational group. So basically it means that you'll only get access to your own data, or there are ways of providing kind of a employee to line manager kind of ratio, so that you can actually see kind of information related to your kind of staff as well that's pulling up through all of this. So that's basically all the time we've got today. So thank you very much for joining. If I've not answered your question, please feel free to email hello@valto.co.uk with any questions, and we're happy to have any sort of follow-up kind of meetings to discuss how Microsoft Viva could be helping your organization. So thank you very much for joining, and please join our future webinars. Thank you.